All right, so the moment we have been waiting for has finally come. I would like to call on our keynote speaker to stand beside the podium while his citation will be read. And the person of Emeritus Professor Francis Akpuaka. Please, can we appreciate him while he moves to the podium? So I would like to invite the chairman of the LOC, Right Honorable Mgbor, to give his citation for our keynote speaker. Dr. Mgbor, please, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, permit me to adopt the very well-established protocol by the chairman of NMA and his secretary. It is my singular honor and privilege to present a brief citation on a papal knight of St. Gregory the Great, Emeritus Professor Frank Chinedu Akpuaka, Professor of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery, as well as Professor of Anatomy. Professor Akpuaka hails from Aba, Ghana, local government area of Anambra State. He attended Government School Oka and Government Secondary School Owerri, where he was school captain, the senior prefect of his college in 1964. He studied medicine at the University of Ibadan and had his postgraduate training in general surgery and later plastic and reconstructive surgery at Manchester University Teaching Hospital in the United Kingdom. He is a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in Mgbor. He is a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in Glasgow. And I'm sure he likes, he wears bow tie like late Professor Mgbor. Those in Glasgow like to wear a lot of black bow ties. He's a fellow of the West African College of Surgeons, fellow of the International College of Surgeons, and in August 1981, he was appointed consultant plastic and reconstructive surgeon at the National Orthopedic Hospital Enugu. In 1985, he established St. Francis Hospital Enugu as a specialist surgical hospital and became the director. He was also the pioneer head of the Department of Anatomy at ASUTEC, now the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, College of Health Sciences in Nnewi, my alma mater. Pioneer provost of the College of Medicine and Health Sciences of the Abia State University, Uturu. He was appointed professor of plastic and reconstructive surgery and professor of anatomy in 1981 and has pioneered, was also the pioneer provost of the College of Medicine, Anambra State University, now Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University for the first 8 years. He's the foundation president, Nigerian Association of Plastic, Reconstructive, and Extensive Surgeons, foundation president, Society of Experimental and Clinical Anatomy, foundation editor of the Orient Journal of Medicine, Secretary General of the International College of Surgeons, Nigerian section, 12th president of the International College of Surgeons, member of the New York Academy of Sciences, and first Emeritus Professor of Abia State University, Utru. The Grand Pillar Enugu Diocesan CMO, Nandina of the CMO of St. Mary's Catholic Church, Francekilu, Nadia Rama of the Catholic Women Organization at St. Mary's Catholic Church, and patron and grand patron, pillar of numerous church societies. Professor Francis Chinedu Akpuaka is Okoji of Abia State, Meritorious Award from Abia State Government on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of the state. High Chief Nzenabo of Abagana. Merit and Grand Merit Awards, respectively, from the Old Boys Association of the Government School, Owerri, and distinguished Anambra State Commander Medal from the government of Anambra State in March 2022. He holds excellence awards from numerous societies, professional bodies, and institutions. Currently, he is a pioneer provost of the College of Medicine of Godfrey Okoye University, Enugu since 2022. Professor Francis Chinedu Akpuaka is happily married to Professor Mgbor Akpuaka, a professor of organic chemistry in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And they are blessed with many children and grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and most cherished privilege to invite Professor Francis Chinedu Akpuaka to present his keynote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The name is Akpuaka Armstrong. Akpuaka is ganglion. Thank you very much. Our distinguished chairman, the state chairman, Rotarian Dr. Sunday Okafo. Permit me to stand on the well-established protocol. But let me inform you that seated on the high table are two of my classmates, the chairman of the occasion, Professor. Okay, VC, as happens, Boku. You're welcome. Emeritus Professor Ozumba, you're welcome. So like I said, seated on the high table, my classmate, Professor Mgbor, and Emerita Professor Nene Obiano. We went into College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, September 1965, direct entry. And Dr. Onya was 1 year behind us. So I thank the chairman of NMA because these are people I may not have seen for a while. And then in the hall there, my very good friends, Dr. CBSZ. Let me tell you something about Dr. CBSZ. He was chairman of NMA, Enugu State, when I became the pioneer editor of our journal, Orient Journal of Medicine. I was a very young academic. I'd been senior lecturer just for a few months. But the confidence CB, as I call him, had in me, with his secretary, Dr. Nwane, they had given the task of establishing the first medical journal in Eastern Nigeria to a very distinguished academic. The person they gave it to was a very senior professor. And for more than 6 years, he was contacting different bodies in the world on how to start a journal. And SS's chairmanship lost confidence in him. So they waited for him at an annual general meeting. He came again to tell us how far he had gone with establishing the journal. But known to me, they had prepared somebody to stand up and say, whereas we have waited for 6 years, and whereas this committee has failed us, be it, and they took a decision dissolving that committee. The man walked out with his pile of fires. And on the spot, I was appointed, as young as I was then, to establish a journal for this association. I gathered a group, and this was in September, to the glory of God. By our annual AGM that year, 1989, the first edition of Orient Journal of Medicine was launched. So sometimes you don't need experts. When Christ chose his disciples, he chose ordinary men, fishermen, tax collectors, sinners. He converted them to saints. And so I want to thank Eze. Each time I see him, we have remained very good friends. You know, I edited that journal for the first 14 years. And so many people who became big professors became professors by publishing in that journal. Has been taken over by Anambra State, unfortunately, but it's still alive. I think their 30th or so edition is now published online, to the glory of God. Professor Bikili is here. He's my great ally in the subject of anatomy. In 2001, there was an anatomy association of Anatomical Society of Nigeria, which was hijacked by a professor in Lagos University. He was appointed the the president, and he held that position for 10 years, never called a meeting for 10 years, and represented Nigeria globally. I called a few of my friends, chief of them was Zobikili, from Sanibes, CIB, and so many anatomists and said, let us form a regional body, which we call Anatomical Society of Southeastern Nigeria, ASEN. And we established a journal of experimental clinical anatomy. And there was so much enthusiasm. People joined us from Port Harcourt, from Alabama. And I was the founding president for the first 4 years. Our journal was the only active journal in Nigeria, in anatomy. When we wanted that fund to take over the sponsorship of the journal, they said we're regional body. And Obikili then was the president of the association. We had an emergency meeting in my house on a Sunday, and there and then changed the name of the association to Society of Experimental and Clinical Anatomy of Nigeria. And then we presented our new name to Tedford, and they say it's now a national body, and they started sponsoring our journal. To the glory of God, that anatomy journal is the key anatomy journal in Africa today. Recently, we were given an impact factor number 5.6. And it's the only anatomy journal with that level of impact factor in Africa. So I say this because it's easy to forget history. And also to kill time. Because the topic I've been given is not, I've been studying that topic, I didn't know where to start. However, I looked at the second part of that topic, Panacea to talent retention in the health sector. And I decided to act on that second aspect. And the topic of my discourse is addressing brain drain in Nigeria's health sector. That is what it boils down to. So, Chairman, sir, you were wondering how I would handle this topic. The aspect, what I'm going to discuss is how to address brain drain. It's a big problem. Every young man today, or most young men in Nigeria, are looking for ways to get out from this country. True or false? It's not only in the health sector. If you watch the news, see the number of people who die trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea in small boats, in large numbers. And the fact that they die does not discourage others. So you can see extreme frustration in the land. A lot of young people, I try to get one or two people to be taken as residents in orthopedic hospital, my former students. And after I was given the option to bring them, I thought they had started. Next moment, I had them left the country. So even to recruit residents in our residency program is now a major problem because their mind is not there. Everybody wants to leave the country. The syndrome they call, is it Japa or something? What is holding most of them is the amount of money you may be required to show in your account to get a visa to Canada or to get a visa to UK or part of Europe. So we're in trouble. So talking of ensuring universal applicability remuneration, I think it's big grammar. The bottom line is that whatever you get paid today, the exchange rate makes nonsense of your salary. If you make 1,000 pounds abroad by washing plates in a restaurant, you have already made 2-point-something million naira. How many of you earn 2-point-something million naira in a month? So people are prepared. See people, graduates, they go and do courses in caregiving. Godfrey University now has a certificate course in caregiving. In fact, they come to our teaching hospital, the former Tassiobi Hospital, and they do some clinical attachment. The CFP also is designing a very beautiful certificate they will pay for, so that when they present this certificate from a teaching hospital and a certificate from the university, they will be able to have jobs in Canada, in Britain, to carry bedpan, to look after elderly people. These are graduates. Some of them are graduates. So you can see the trouble we have found ourselves. And all the things we're discussing. Particularly PMS. From 198 naira per liter to now 1,200 and something, some places 1,300. I was reading in the paper today, Nigerians are reacting in a way I like. They say that we used to consume 60 million liters a day nationally. It has come down to 4.5 million liters, a reduction by 92%, which is all right. They say about 10,000 petroleum dealers are about to lose their source of livelihood. I felt very happy to read that. At some stage, they will be begging us to come and buy fuel. People are no longer traveling to the village for every useless celebration. You know, you have to now think seriously before you go and buy fuel at the prevailing cost. So, brain drain of health workers is very well known to us. It's not only the doctors, the nurses are going. What is the reaction of government? Sometime, was it early in the year or late last year, MDCN, Medical and Dental Council, wrote to various colleges of medicine, doubling their quota. If you had a quota of 100, you now had 200. So of 240, you have 480. Recently, they wrote to VCs again that if you want to take advantage of this doubling, you must call council, pay 6.5 million naira, and they bring 16 people on accreditation to re-accredit to know whether you can carry that capacity as an afterthought. Meanwhile, some universities have already taken advantage of that. I know one university where I go to, they quickly took advantage of that. And the number that took second MB, they were 406, 406, with 6 lecturers in anatomy. So you wanted the quality of training, that is. Of course, the reaction, every university is now establishing a medical school. What of the nurses? There's an epidemic of colleges of nursing. Even specialized hospitals like orthopedic and plastic have now introduced a college of nursing and midwifery. I asked the MD, where will they do their practical training? Is it women who have fracture and are pregnant? And he said they will find somewhere. But they have been accredited by for ND and HND. And all the colleges, universities, Godfrey Okoye University, Coal City, Manduka University, I'm not talking about the bigger places. Everybody now is concentrating on BSc nursing. And then the faith-based organization, Anglican, Catholic, are now establishing colleges of nursing. others that used to give NRN, SRN, and all that, has become a college of nurses. I saw a video of their first convocation ceremony. There were 250 candidates in one class. And they are not, those going into nursing are not going there to improve nursing care in Nigeria. Everybody is heading towards Canada. Canada has become a beautiful place. And then if you fail in Canada, UK. I pity Nigeria. Now, we recall that we had this sort of experience during Babangida's era, when we had structural adjustment program. But at least it was not as traumatic as this. At that time, the destination was Middle East. And, sorry, the destination was Middle East. And they insisted on consultants who had foreign fellowship from UK, Australia, North America. They didn't accept our postgraduate fellowship, West African fellowship. So at least we had these people left to look after us. Until around now, they now realize that the specialists who are training in West Africa are as good as those trained abroad, if not better. And they open the gates to everybody, including post-youth corps students. So we're in trouble. Everybody's leaving. Even people with good business. There's a good pharmacy where I go to buy drugs. There's branches here and there. Recently, I realized that any drug you ask for, they say it's not there. So I demanded to see the man. And they say he has left for Canada. I said, no wonder the place is falling. I thought he was doing well. A nephew of mine came recently. He was a senior manager in the top bank in Nigeria. He came one evening, about 3 weeks ago, said, Uncle, I've sent to Canada my family. He had to sell his duplex in Abuja to raise money to transport his family in April. And he said he was fine. He had resigned his work. I said, you have work in Canada? He said, when we get there. So the country is bleeding. Even this ensuring universal remuneration, how much are you going to pay to match the fact that $1,000 will get you almost 1.67 million naira? Some doctors are going to America to do nursing. When you don't get place, you go and do nursing. So we're in trouble. I don't know how we're going to solve this problem. So I'm not giving an academic lecture. I decided it will not be academic. They asked me to bring my slide. I said, what slide? I said, we know the problem. All of us, we know the problem. How do we solve the problem? The problem has to be solved from the source. There's no amount of money you will give to a doctor in Enugu now that will pacify him. There's no amount of money. How much? Pay you 2 million a month? Everybody will go on strike. If they hear doctors are now specially being paid, the nurses, Johesu, all of them will become wild. Everybody will demand the same thing. Okay? So I don't know. I don't know. So, like I said, during the Babangida era, it was limited. Just the big consultants left. The locally trained consultants were still available, but now everybody is going. Everybody is going. I'm just back from postgraduate exams. What? The students, the number is diminishing. Diminishing. It's also affecting us. We are not as hard as we used to be. I said, these people that agreed to come home. At least in October, 7 people came from the entire West Africa for plastic surgery. And I told them, my fellow examiners from all over the, I said, these guys have tried, and let's encourage them. All the 7 passed. And then the one we just did in April, 5 came. I said I have tried. I'm the oldest examiner. I've been examining since 1993. Okay? I told them, these times I've tried. Let's see whether them at home. All the 5 passed. Even pediatric surgery, there were 6. Only 1 would not pass. 5 passed. The same round, people are getting softer. Let's encourage them to stay. But I know they won't stay. They will not stay. Watch out. They will stay. Okay? So I think nothing has changed since the SAP era. Not much has been done to effectively arrest the trend of this Japan syndrome. The dangerous trend now is that the young health workers are living in droves. They are living. And people are retiring. They are not being blessed. Even in the university. The government people, I mean, it happens everywhere. It's not limited to one place. You see a list from government house. Those who must be taken, particularly in state universities. If you don't respond to such lists, you stand the risk of being removed. Yesterday, the entire Abia State, you saw the result of the white paper. One government statement removed the vice chancellor, all the deputy vice chancellors, the registrar, the bursar, the librarian. They said, everybody go. Pro-chancellor, governing council. They have all been sacked in Abia State University. A new VC appointed from Futo. They said, we want to clean up a mess. I don't know. I wish them luck. I wish them luck. So government brings names for admission. But you tell them that you don't have staff to teach these people. You need, in another state, preparing for accreditation of their medical school, they had an interim accreditation last 2 years ago. Now, they say you don't have this, you don't have cardiothoracic, you don't have this, you don't have this. 2 years have come again. Next month, they will face accreditation. The VC could not authorize employment of new people. The list had to be sent to government house. It's taken the governor several weeks. Only last week, he picked a few people he said can employ. Now, if you employ and the team is coming in about 2 weeks, you have to tell lies. Maybe you backdate the employment 5 months. And you know it's more difficult to tell lies. It's easier to tell the truth, isn't it? You say you employed the person 5 months ago. You have to do so many, change the date of application. But so before you employ in state universities particularly, you must get permission from governor to employ one surgeon, one physician. We're in trouble. So if you're in such an environment and you have an alternative somewhere, if we were younger people, honestly, I don't know what I would have done. I would have followed them all. But at our age, if you go, what will you be doing? Those who have children, they will ask you to look after the children. You watch, put TV for you. Then they go to work. I don't want that sort of life. But for the younger people, there's no way we can hold them back. No way. So the Nigerian health sector continues to suffer from many challenges, including insufficiency and inconsistency of funds, heavy reliance on out-of-pocket payment by patients. I was very attentive to the presentation on the, what do you call it? The universal health coverage. But I felt disappointed that only 1,000 something, I don't know how many, I think 108,000 in a whole Enugu state is covered. It's a disaster. I have a clinic in Enugu here. I can't remember anybody coming to me. The clinic has been on since 1985. Nobody has come to say, I belong to this universal thing. Okay? So you have a lot of work to do. People in private practice are also living the practice because it's difficult to pay their workers. I know people now reducing their workforce to 2 nurses. One person will be on call for duty for 12 hours. At the end, you pay a paltry sum. I think our hope for the future is to amplify this health insurance. The coverage of 6.4% is too low. You must help government, point out to government to greatly expand the coverage. Not only the coverage, it's not only malaria, like the national health insurance. You want to suture a wound, they say you are not covered. At Oka, teaching hospital, I go there to operate once in a while. Once they see plastic surgery, they have a similar health insurance called ASHA in Anambra State. It has a wide coverage. You pay 12,000 a year, but they specifically wrote that they don't cover plastic and reconstructive surgery. So all the people with diabetic foot admitted under me, sometimes up to 15 in the world, all the people with leg ulcers, all the people with burns, once they go to ASHA office, they say it's not. So we're trying to see how to rename the plastic surgery, whether to call it remove plastic and just call it reconstructive surgery. We're on that one now. Because they don't come, once they see plastic, they think it's facelift. We don't have time for facelift. People have big tumors of the jaw. I removed one huge amyloblastoma the other day. It's not covered by ASHA because it comes under plastic surgery. So my plea is that the agencies responsible for this health insurance must guide government properly. The coverage should reach at least 50%. what we have done in my town union is to encourage people outside the country, in diaspora, to pay for substantial amount for people in their kindred. It's only 12,000 a year. Instead of giving them cash, which they will finish and they don't account for what they have done with it, pay in bulk for people in your ward, so that you pay for 1 or 2 years in advance, 24,000 in 2 years, and they have their certificates. Once you are current, they cover up to 600,000. So if you're admitted up to 600,000, they cover that, and that will cover quite a number of people. I implore the health insurance in Enugu to increase the scope, increase the coverage, increase what, because a lot of people, they come to your private clinic, even to pay for card. Ayoba Ibigo doctor, me bele. As though a bele will pay your salaries, salary of workers. So I think this out-of-pocket expenditure should be addressed very seriously. Now, like I say, young doctors resigning from their jobs in public hospitals, in droves, seriously affect residency training program and service delivery. The few doctors left behind experienced overwork. I looked into Park Lane accident and emergency the other day. Every corner had a patient. Very busy. It's a city hospital. It should be really expanded. I see they are trying to expand it, but it's very close to town. So the few doctors there are suffering from overwork, chronic fatigue, burnout, and sometimes it affects their family life. When you are there in the hospital, you have a young wife. You know the problems. Now, the Association of Psychiatrists in Nigeria lamented recently that no fewer than 100 psychiatrists left the country in less than 1 year. We don't have many psychiatrists. 100 left. This is an official statement. In fact, one of them, who was my student in Abia, called me from Australia. I said, "What are you doing there?" He said, I'm working. The reason he called me, he wanted the daughter to be admitted in my medical school. To the glory of God, she was admitted on Monday. But he's there making money in Australia. If we are not here, there will be nobody to admit the daughter. In fact, the psychiatrists said that out of every 5 psychiatrists trained in Nigeria, 3 of them must leave. So you are left with 2. And those 2 will be getting ready to leave. At least their wives should be encouraging them to go. More worrisome is the question of who replaces these people. Most times, when people go, they are not replaced. There's an embargo on employment. Nigerians' health professionals have been migrating to United Kingdom, US, Canada, Australia, and other developed countries. To discourage brain drain, we have to motivate healthcare professionals to work in our health sector. First of all, there's need to improve the working condition of health professionals. It's an uphill task. We have to enhance infrastructure, equipment, and resources in the public health facilities. to create a conducive environment. But this is secondary. The bottom line is money, cash. What goes into your pocket at the end of the day? Competitive remuneration is very crucial, and salaries and benefits must be comparable to international standards. Purely academic, how do you do that? How do you compare salaries? How do you pay comparable salaries, especially among state governments? We are clapping for them because of minimum wage of 70,000. That will not buy a 50 kg bag of Abakaliki rice. That will be 50 kg will cost you almost 76,000. So once you have the minimum wage, you buy one bag of rice, you eat the rice without, if you can't even buy, what do you call it? Gas to cook it. Maybe you cook it with, career development opportunities, including training and mentorship, to be provided to help healthcare professionals grow professionally. Now, the federal government recently organized loan schemes for students in higher institutions. This is a laudable achievement. People should be given loans and bursaries because parents whose salaries and other earnings getting down can no longer keep their students in universities. The Godfrey Okoye University, because it doesn't have subvention from NUC or government, we had to increase school fees from 2 million to 4 million a year. A few students could not cope. They have had to drop out. But the good news is that we are having people coming from Base University and PAMO, where the school fees is 9 million. So they are relocating to where it is half that one, to the glory of God. I think that state governments should also regulate the federal government and start giving loans and bursary to keep these students in school. Security is another problem. Recently, doctors in Anambra had to go on strike because a doctor was kidnapped in his clinic at Ihala for many weeks. Luckily, when all the doctors came together, the bandits easily. Some have not been so lucky. Some have. As soon as it comes out, we'll look for a way to leave the country. Finally, I think we should liaise with Nigerian professionals in the healthcare sector, those in diaspora, encourage them to come on short visits to help, because sometimes come and do 100 operations in 1 week. After that, you leave the country. Those who have complications, cheap article, anything info, where, it's not like using our people who are here, but just to fill in the gap, you encourage those coming outside, from outside, to come and do short stay and programs in which they would treat our people. At the end of the day, the solution to Nigeria's problem is the government. Government policy, that's all. Government policy. A policy change now will reverse quite a number of things to allow our currency to float. I'm not an economic expert, but I think as a developing country, we should have a rethink. Otherwise, one day, our naira would become worse than Venezuela. We have to use basket to carry a few naira. So government has to do something about our currency. That's number one. Number two, the fuel price, which governs every other thing in the economy, has to be tinkered with. Three, health insurance must be actively promoted by all state governments and made available to as many people as possible. So that those of us in private sector, we still have people to pay for us. Sometimes you really pity the people. A laborer comes, needs surgery. You see, I deposit 400,000 on a name. So these are things that I think can be done. At the end of the day, we will lace up all our actions with prayers. I hope that God will help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our keynote speaker, for that wonderful presentation. I think we need a small music interlude before we go to the next item in the ceremony. Please, DJ, music interlude. Thank you.